Well, with that being said, welcome back everyone to another episode of a gaming podcast.
Everywhere.
Wow, you're already starting out with that. Okay,
yeah, we're gonna start without awkwardness right there. There we go. Episode 19. Welcome back, everyone. Sorry for my voice. I have a slight cold for this new year. You're all excited, like, oh yeah, new me, new year, and then you're like, you get slapped with a cold and everything. So.
Yeah. Hold on, wait, Marcel, new year, but you're still wearing that Maple Leafs hoodie.
Yeah, but nothing has changed since.
You should stop cheering for the Maple Leafs.
No, y'all think you understand. It's a ritual. It's a consistent thing.
Nah. You got to cheer for the Buffalo Bills. They're gonna make it to the Super Bowl. I guarantee it. We need it. We need it to happen.
I eat buffalo wings. That's what I do. All right, so
that's how you cheer.
That's why I cheer for them. Yeah, exactly.
Love it.
Yeah. Caboose, how's it going, man? Happy
Good.
New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well. I can finally talk about my hands-on with Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
I figure we're gonna go over that and some more stuff today. But it's been an interesting start to the new year for sure.
Absolutely. Sammy, how about yourself? Testing out winter tires. What's going on?
Today we took a Subaru and just gave it all we got through the snow. Got some really cool shots of that.
Love it.
But yeah,
hell yeah.
Did you get 5 feet of air?
No. I don't.
Napoleon Dynamite reference for those who don't know.
That would be awesome, but no. But yeah, just really busy with work. Playing games in the meantime whenever I can. Lots of Valheim, which old game, but I've been really enjoying it.
Hell yeah!
You know what I've gotten into? The finals.
I was good. It's actually good. I've been meaning to try that.
It's a good time. It's a good time.
All my normie friends are just like, oh, I've been playing this. I'm like, all right, fine, I'll try it.
Yeah.
Are you calling Caboose a normie?
I mean, no, but
hey,
no. I'm just saying. Listen, Baldur's Gate 3 also became a normie game.
I'll take normie over shill any day of the week.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Steve V, how's it going, my man?
Yo, I'm good. I'm happy to be back with all of you fine people. Just kind of rolled right from the holiday right into CES, and I'm a tired boy this week, but happy to be here.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Steve Saylor.
I'm good. The holidays were great. Got to finally jump into a little bit of some backlog of some games. Playing some new games now for review. I can say I'm reviewing Prince of Persia right now, as well as The Last of Us 2 remastered. Nice. So I'll be expecting those reviews coming very soon. I'm also excited to talk about a little bit later today our official podcast Game of the Year list.
Yes.
I have compiled it all from each one of us here, and I have an official top 5 games for our podcast in 2023.
Oh man.
Let's go.
All right.
Pretty excited.
Some things may or may not surprise you. I'll leave it at that.
All right. Riley.
Non-party animals.
Did I put that in? I don't remember. I don't remember if I put that in, but we'll see. Riley.
Yeah, I feel like a lot's going on. There's a lot of news, which is kind of surprising for the first few weeks, the first week of January. So we get to go over that, which is exciting. But no, it was nice. I didn't travel like Steve did, but I feel like I was driving all over Ontario, seeing family and stuff. So it's kind of nice to be kind of still right now and just enjoying some time to myself and actually playing some games. I've been playing Prince of Persia is one of them. I've got Last of Us remastered too. Lots to look forward to as well.
Oh yeah. And then Camille.
It's a gamer over here.
Yeah.
Wait.
Game.
Riley, do this to your camera. I need to know if it's still active.
Yeah, he still has it. Yeah, there we go.
Hey, I forgot about that.
He still has it.
I love
it. Camille, how about you?
Of course he does that right when I'm about to go right.
So sorry, you go ahead. That's my bad. You go ahead. I'm so sorry.
like snorting when we like, or like not snort. Okay, I'm gonna stop. Anyways,
What's snorting? What? What are we snorting?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Oh my
So
god!
I have a cold. I don't know what your guys'
I haven't
excuses. Okay.
snorted anything.
Anyways, after the wheezing coughs and laughs of all of us, the holiday's been good. I don't know. Oh, I'm playing The Last of Us Remastered. That's very interesting. Okay. I'm really just enjoying all the news that's coming out, and like I have lots of travel coming up, so I'm just trying to play it low key. I've been doing lots of cooking. I've been cooking a lot, cooking a lot of food. And
as opposed to what?
Well, I used to do a lot of takeout, right?
Oh no, I meant like you were saying cooking food as like a cooking what?
Yeah, what else are you cooking?
Conversation going.
Yo, let her cook. Let her cook. Hold on a minute.
I've been cooking in some games too. I'm not gonna lie. I've been playing lots of Modern Warfare 3, so I've been doing that as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. There was a lot of news, and all of them, I feel like half of it came out today, actually, which is it's wild. But a lot of people are upset for some reason that Xbox games might or may not be coming out to Nintendo Switch and PlayStation, such as Hi-Fi Rush. I know Sea of Thieves is another one. Like, I don't like what. Why are people upset?
We can't go a couple weeks without like stupid discourse. Like, seriously.
I don't understand. Like Xbox, they spent a whole case being like, we want to have our games everywhere, and people are like, "What? What do you mean Hi-Fi Rush is coming to Nintendo Switch?" I'm mad. I'm like, did you buy it or did you not buy it? Let other people buy it on other platforms. I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah. So that news originated from Nate the Hate, who's a pretty reliable source for information in the past. He's been accurate about the Halo multiplayer coming out ahead of the launch for free. He's been accurate about a number of things like this, from Nintendo to Xbox to PlayStation as well. So I would consider it a pretty good source, but I think that the interesting thing to me is your point, Marcel, was the backlash over something that's not even confirmed yet. Like, plans change too. So, I mean, Hi-Fi Rush to me seems like a totally perfect game to intro to other platforms and stuff like that. Like, that seems like a very obvious choice.
Also, why is it bad that more people get to play a good game?
Yeah, I did kind of get into a little I did kind of get into a little bit of a conversation with some folks online, because I posed the same thing. It's like, why would anyone care about playing, like, not like other people not being able to play a game that you like? But the common sort of argument that I kept seeing, which there is, a little bit of, I understand this kind of logic sense to it. But here's the thing too, is that Xbox has not even confirmed or denied anything about this. Yeah. So everyone's assuming plans that Xbox has that they have not said anything. But the logic argument of it is that when people invest in, say, the hardware of Xbox, they are worried that when Xbox becomes, basically they're thinking that it's going to become a third-party publisher more than necessarily a platform, and then it's, what's the point of investing in Xbox hardware at that point? And it's not console wars bullshit. I don't think there is a little bit of like, I understand, like, I kind of get it. It's like, when Xbox games are available on other platforms, what is the point of owning or an Xbox? But my argument to that was, we've been in the console cycle for like decades now, where we get a couple years with a console and then it becomes obsolete because the new one comes out and we have to move to the new one. And that cycle is just financially not sustainable in 2024. No. So Xbox seeing to the future of them seeing that, okay, they have a platform of like Game Pass and building off of software. I think that's moving towards the future where that, like, because no one ever made money off the console, really, like, unless you sell it to like almost 100 million units anyway. Like, the only time that you ever did, exactly, you're always sold at a loss. So
I'd also argue too that anybody who thinks that this is like out of left field just hasn't been paying attention to the literature. Like, Xbox has been very pro consumer, very pro, like, let as many people play our games as possible. I mean, down to the fact that nowadays there isn't really an Xbox exclusive. Every single game that comes out on Xbox is more than likely day and date coming to PC as well.
Yep.
So like they've already opened up the audience of people that are going to be able to play their games on day one. And so in this instance, a game like Hi-Fi Rush, especially, this should be something that we should be championing because it underperformed and didn't really deserve to, considering how great of a game it is. And so for it to now have the opportunity to be available on multiple platforms is something that for me is really exciting. I think that's just, it brings more eyes to a really good game and hopefully helps them make back some of the money that they would have spent making the game to justify its existence and to hopefully allow them to reassure themselves that this is something that they should do again in the future. You know, they should make a Hi-Fi Rush 2 or these shadow drops sometimes can be cool if done right, you know?
I think for this, it's like, I would actually argue this is like the BS console wars conversations. I think a lot of people are still caught up in the old ways of how games were marketed. It was very console based. With the arrival of PC, that changed drastically. And, you know, just there's a lot of whiny babies out there that are like, oh, my console. And it's like, okay, well, you bought that console because that's a hardware you want to play on. And that's totally fine. I get it. If you love that, you're a diehard, that's fine. But that doesn't mean other people shouldn't be able to play the games that you love as well. Also, it's just a different experience. Like, I can't imagine a hardcore Xbox console owner wanting to play on the Nintendo Switch. Like, it just does not make sense.
I agree. Not a lot of those people are going to be leaving the platform, right? If you already own an Xbox and you enjoy the games that come to Xbox, I feel like you're getting your money's worth, you know, especially with something like, at the end of the day too, it's still going to be on Game Pass. You know, it's still going to be free on Game Pass, and that'll be the best bang for your buck, the best deal if a game like Hi-Fi Rush is up your alley and something that you wanted to try out.
And you know what? Like, Xbox has been saying this since the launch of the Xbox Series X. They are still in the Game Pass market. Like, they are trying to show their worth for Game Pass. So, you know, this backwards thinking of everything has to be tied to a console, like you said, Caboose, they're not reading the literature.
What did you
I think there's also like a big...
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that I think there's a big difference between Microsoft coming out a year after Hi-Fi Rush already launched on their own, you know, platform and services, and then just say we're giving it a second wind, versus Starfield coming out, them saying, hey, this is Xbox exclusive, and then if they were to turn tail and be like, actually, it's coming to PlayStation now, that's when I think as a console owner or a subscriber to Xbox Game Pass, that's when you say, well, you lied to me then. There was no expectation for Hi-Fi Rush to not ever come out on Switch, because they've said in the past, hey, we're taking this on a case-by-case basis, which means anything under Bethesda's arm is kind of just free game, as long as they're upfront, they're transparent, which in my opinion, I think they have been. The other thing that I just want to quickly bring up, because I feel like we're not us, like royal us, everyone in the games industry kind of has this argument every so often when Xbox does something like this. I truly feel like Microsoft and Sony have the exact same goals, just Microsoft has been working 5 years in advance to set themselves up in a better position for this. The whole third party argument is so antiquated in terms of today's day and age, 2024. Nowadays, I mean, the extent of Microsoft being a quote unquote third party is largely different only because PlayStation hasn't really done anything in terms of benefiting itself. I mean, you look at Microsoft and Nintendo, they've been partners going back all the way to the 360 with the Rare days, the Banjo-Kazooie and everything like that. PlayStation, and I'm being bold to say this, PlayStation could not have that relationship with Nintendo just because of their history. Nintendo would probably laugh at their face if they were like, hey, we'd love to just partner up with you. They'd be like, no, thank you. We have too much like honor in terms of that. And then you also look at like things like the mobile market, the PC market. Microsoft has those partnerships only because it's not PlayStation. PlayStation couldn't put remote play on a Samsung TV because it has its own TV manufacturing arm. PlayStation's just getting into the PC market because it largely trailed behind Microsoft. I mean, you look at even Helldivers 2. It's now getting to the point where they're launching PlayStation-produced games, published games, day and date on PC. PlayStation has the exact same goal as Microsoft. They just don't have the resources nor the money to do it the same way Microsoft's doing it.
Yep.
I have a question though, because it's like you talk about you're talking about a lot of PlayStation, and I think you do bring up a point. But when we see those PlayStation exclusives, Death Stranding, for example, Cabooses' favorite game, coming to PC, right, or God of War, that conversation isn't there as much. I really do find like a lot of people are angry when Microsoft and Xbox is making these moves.
I'd argue that I see it the same, that PlayStation console owners, they freak out when God of War 2 years, 3 years later comes to PC and they're like, wait a minute, I bought this and played it 7 times already. Yeah.
I think what's
like throwing their discs in the toilet and stuff.
Yeah. It's also just so silly too. I know you mentioned Steve V, the whole thing about Starfield, right? I think even if a year from now Bethesda was like, you know what, Starfield's coming to PlayStation, it's like, as an Xbox owner, you've already probably at that point played through the entirety of Starfield, maybe even 100% of the game. You've gotten everything you possibly could have out of the game 2 years ahead of any other platform that would have been able to get their hands on it. What does it matter at that point?
I think it just becomes
your console has served its purpose in that you were able to play this game before anybody else.
I think, I mean, you have a point there, but I think is like Starfield was kind of sold, at least in the marketing of it, as like this is the game to be able to get the console for. Like this is like you want like it was marketed as like this is the console selling game. And I think that putting it on multiple platforms after that was kind of like a big sort of marketing push. It kind of sort of takes back the then what's the point of owning an Xbox?
But then PC as well though.
I think like Microsoft has a lot more to gain like from it being on PC just as much like it's in the same ecosystem essentially.
I counter in regards to what PlayStation's new initiative is now with PC games, right? Like they're doing a lot of releases of their flag. Like a lot of people were thinking, okay, there's no way God of War is ever going to come to PC, right? Like maybe they'll do something like Death Stranding because that's just not their flagship title, right? But there's no way Spider-Man's ever going to come to PC because it's just too important for Sony to get. Of course, they're going to release it to these other markets because it's just going to make them more money. And at the end of the day, the PlayStation users still get their money's worth. They still get the importance of owning the console because they get to play it and they get to experience it first and far in advance comparatively to anybody else.
There is that, but I do think that PC is not the market that people think like the dominant market that people think it is. I think we sort of see PC as like just another type of console. It's on the same equivalent as an Xbox, as a PlayStation, as a Nintendo Switch. Like it's on the same level. But for a vast majority outside of our bubble of gamers who are constantly online and making content about games, people don't have the powerful PCs in order to be able to play these games. Now Xbox has tried to build, like basically gone into more cloud gaming, making it so that technically even a Chromebook can be able to play Xbox games. But I think people don't see the PC market as that sort of stance. They see Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo as the three dominant platforms.
Like the big three. They're not counting out PC. Although kids are now asking for PCs instead of consoles. Yeah. So it's that perception. Sure. And I think it also has to do with how these games are marketed from the start, because the conversation around console wars definitely has to come with all these big companies, the big three, saying exclusively on our console, right? And they're shifting that language, but it's still fairly new. So I think it's setting up that right expectation as well from the start.
Yeah, I think a lot of people may not necessarily realize that technically Sony and Nintendo have a lot more in common than they do necessarily with Xbox. And I mean that in regards to hardware and software exclusivity, or at least in regards to software exclusivity, because there's a lot business model. They have a similar business model of they release consoles, they release games for that console, and then they make a new console, and then they repeat the cycle all over again. And they don't really share their IPs or their games like outside of their own ecosystem. Sure, the adding to the PC is definitely a new market for PlayStation, and it is them going beyond just the specific hardware that they create. But they whereas Xbox, I think it may have something to do with technically that obviously that Sony and Nintendo are is in an Asian market, and they have very different sort of business tactics than necessarily those in the West. But whereas Xbox is very much a Western game platform, and so they sort of, I think Xbox in a sense sees the landscape of gaming from their perspective, based off of their customers, which are mostly probably a Western audience to begin with. They see the future as, okay, maybe the hardware is not exactly the thing we want to invest in the long term. But let's focus in on maybe services and software, and just, having as many studios within our belt as possible that we can be able to. It's like basically like Netflix and Disney Plus. They create all these
kind of Microsoft's entire model, though, from Office and all that stuff.
That's pretty much it too. Yeah, that is definitely playing off of Microsoft's own playbook. So I think that in a sense, everyone likes to compare PlayStation, Xbox as the main two competitors. They're going against each other, and sure, there's some competitiveness to there, but I think in a sense Xbox is playing by their own sort of a set of what they see the future as, whereas Sony and Nintendo definitely see it as it's a cyclical sort of a gaming market, so we're just gonna go with that, and then basically because our customers are always going to be there regardless.
I think my read on it is that Microsoft is people fall in love with the box, right? And not necessarily the brand. And the brand is becoming now a more of a thing in the everywhere. And what I mean by that is it's the storefront, it's the subscription service, and they want to bring it everywhere. They're already gearing up for a mobile app store because they're assuming they're going to be able to launch that on Apple's devices and Android. These are things that they're gearing up for because they don't want to be just locked to their own hardware. They want to be everywhere. And so these sorts of steps help future-proof their strategy. Yeah. And they also encourage people to buy into the ecosystem. So, if you want to play Hi-Fi Rush and you have a PS5, it's cool, there you go. You want to play Sea of Thieves, which is another one that's been rumored in the kind of the fallout from all this, is that's a service game. It's a premium service game where you have to buy in first, but
there's several Minecraft dungeons that are available on PlayStation. Those are Xbox Studios' own things, right?
All that stuff is part of the strategy. And these sort of lost leads is Hi-Fi Rush isn't generating subscription revenue for them anymore. It's a fantastic game. They have DLC content, it sounds like. Stuff like that is they'll draw more money by making it exclusive for a window and then dropping it on other systems because it'll bring people into their ecosystem in a way.
Yeah.
And we've seen it done with Ori and the Blind Forest and others. It'll continue to happen.
Yeah, it's low hanging fruit for them to just throw it out there and just try to get some money back.
Plus two, this is the chance for the game to catch that second wind. Since then, it's been nominated for several awards at the Game Awards. It's gotten a ton of positive buzz since its release, and this is for an opportunity for a much wider audience to be introduced to a really good game. And I feel we stand nothing to benefit from a situation like this. It's the smart decision to make. And in my personal opinion, I don't think anybody who's tied to any console loses out when these games become available for more people. If one day down the line, 10, 20 years from now, Sony is you know what? Marvel Spider-Man is coming to Xbox now. It's cool. I got everything that I needed out of that game when I played it on my PlayStation.
But what if they release a special suit in that edition, Caboose? What would
the green Xbox Spider-Man suit? Yeah, I know.
The green Spider-Man suit.
Then we're talking now. Okay, now it's getting interesting. But even there's a whole conversation around Blade now too, and I find it particularly interesting how up in arms people get about a Marvel game being exclusive to Xbox versus having no issue with the single greatest IP in the world being exclusive to PlayStation. But that's neither here nor there. At the end of the day, I'm glad that Hi-Fi Rush, if the rumors are true, is coming to potentially Switch, maybe even PlayStation. I look forward to seeing more people getting their hands on it and playing it because I think it's a great game.
Yeah, and to Steve's point earlier, sorry. But to Steve's point earlier about like, the conversation, CBV, the conversation of like, was it always intention to not be an exclusive? No, Caboose just talked about it. It got so much praise, recognition for being a great game. If it didn't get that, I don't think the conversation to it, if it's true, coming to Nintendo Switch would even happen. Like, I think it's more like, oh, this was actually very successful. We just didn't have the audience that really appreciates that game. And I think the Nintendo Switch audience is the perfect audience for something like Hi-Fi Rush as well. So it just makes sense. It makes sense. Don't get sad. If you're sad, save up for a PC and just stay on that.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
And give me Pentiment on Nintendo Switch. That's all I want.
Oh yeah, that'd be great too.
Some extra love.
I do. And I do want to reiterate, I do think that some of the reports aren't accurate, so don't get invested in too much and stuff. Like, I don't think that Switch could run Hi-Fi Rush at 60 frames per second, which that game kind of has to be. So I wouldn't get too interested. I wouldn't convince yourself that it's absolutely a guarantee.
Don't tell me what to do, Riley.
A Switch 2? A Switch 2?
Maybe.
Don't tell me what to be mad about, okay?
Yeah. Don't tell me what to do. That's rude.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's an observation. It's an observation. It might not happen.
So, speaking about PlayStation, actually, they released a list of games that are coming out, such as Tekken 8, Pacific Drive, which a lot of previews came out for that as well. And then Rise of the Ronin. And a lot of surprise is that the Metal Gear Solid game is all scheduled for 2024. And another one that's also scheduled for 2024 is Concord, which is all we have seen is a bouncing sandwich on that trailer. And that's all we have seen. Incredible. But yeah,
that's all we need to see, yeah.
And Silent Hill. Like, are these games really coming out? These, I guess, specific 3 games, at least?
If they're saying they are.
Bouncing sandwich. Like, there's no way. I can't see how this game's coming out.
I'm sure they want it. Like, I'm sure they want them to. Yeah.
I'll believe it when I see it. If it happens, great. If not, then I've certainly not gotten my hopes up for it. Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a distinct difference here when talking about Concord versus Metal Gear Solid and Silent Hill.
Yes.
I don't believe Konami were shit. I don't trust them. I think if anything, they'll probably try to deliver these games. I'm sorry. I'm real salty with Konami.
I get it.
Yeah. But with Concord specifically, I think that there is a good chance because that is a PlayStation-owned studio that's developing this game made from Call of Duty devs. I'm sure that if PlayStation says, hey, we're targeting 2024, that's what their vision is. I mean, this is probably going to be their big kickstart, or at least another kickstart to the games as a service model that they've been chasing now. So I'm sure they want to get this game out, especially now that, Factions or the Last of Us Online isn't going to be anything. So they definitely want to get some sort of games as a service on the market as soon as possible to kind of start massaging that kind of, ecosystem and getting players accustomed to battle passes and stuff on PlayStation.
Well, I think they have to fill that void. I think they have to fill that void of whatever the future of COD will be. If it's not, so I think it's right to test it. I do think we're gonna get Silent Hill. I think it may not be good. I think
there's a chance,
but I think we are gonna get it.
Yeah.
Is Silent Hill 2? Is that the one from Bloober Team, or is that? Am I thinking something?
That's Bloober.
Okay. I mean, Bloober's like, okay, I know that people didn't necessarily like the medium as much, but I enjoyed that. It was like one of the first horror games that I actually played on the new systems. And I don't know, I kind of liked it. I mean, I know that Bloober Team hasn't had the best track record, but I don't know. I think that they're horror fans. I'd be curious to see what they would think of Silent Hill 2 would look like.
Atmospherically, it's solid, right? And I think that's what's most important, gameplay wise. If it works, if everything feels good, whether or not the writing was amazing isn't really as important because it's a remake of a already beloved game.
Sure.
So if they just nail the gameplay, if they upgrade those visuals and kind of give people a nice trip down memory lane, whether it be for the better or not, then I think that could turn out all right.
We should have a bingo card. How many posts do we think like Kojima's gonna make shading the re-release of the remaster?
It's gonna come out and he's just gonna show pictures of his time working on the original.
Yeah.
Could be.
Anyways, flashback to.
Wait, is Kojima known for like throwing shade?
I didn't know this either.
He like usually posts things like just at interesting timing.
I know his movie reviews are just pure gold.
Yes.
Like,
is he being paid for those? Because he sees way too many movies to be creating OD.
I don't think so.
He gives you like an essay, and then when he sees like I don't know, like the Marvels, he'll be like, "I saw the Marvels today." Like,
I watched The Flash, and it's just him in his chair going,
yeah.
Honestly, I think we've always he's always said he loves films and he loves directing films. So it's like I don't know. I think he's just a movie buff. I think he just really I
would love to see that version, but for the games from Kojima. I want to see what his how he would go about that. You know
what I would absolutely love. I would love a Kojima film review podcast.
I need that.
That would be amazing. And I know he's got a podcast now, but he should break off and basically create his own podcast network so that he can just have a venue to be able to geek out about films. And I would love to hear his sort of brain power against the film.
Machina. I want to hear him talk about the Creator. I want deep film essays from Kojima.
Yes, I want
to have him and Sakurai in one show. I think that will melt the internet.
Seriously,
that would definitely melt the internet. Or him showing up on Sakurai's YouTube channel before it ends.
That's on the level of like Ryu and Cyclops shaking hands, Marvel vs. Capcom.
100%, 100%. Yeah.
How funny is it that they're buddies, and the only reason Solid Snake got into Smash Brothers was because Kojima's son was like, "Hey, why don't you have any characters in this?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's a good question."
let me call him up. Yeah.
I love that.
Real thing that happened. It was like, all right, okay.
I love it. I love it.
Hey, Jeff Keighley, if you're watching, we're giving you gold right here. Tell your best buddy.
And also come on the Gamer Podcast.
And also,
speaking about melted internet, Bruce, how is Suicide Squad?
Speaking of
video,
live
by the way. Great video, by the way.
You know what? You're sick. It's like segues are not your thing today. It's fine.
You know what?
Awesome video though today. I must say.
Thank you.
Yes, really great video.
Can you let everyone know what the video is for everyone listening? They're just like, huh?
It is my hands-on impressions.
Find out.
Last month, to fully disclose, WB Games flew me out to Los Angeles to get early access with Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League. That's the video in question. It's my thoughts on the game, but I'll also give it to some of you guys listening here today. Okay, there's some things that I really like. I think that a lot of people are sleeping on the gameplay in this one. I feel like the gunplay is really addicting. I think the traversal is super fun. I only really got to play Captain Boomerang. I had a bit of time with King Shark, but I mainly played as Captain Boomerang.
Was he fun?
Very fun, actually.
Really? Because I'm like, out of all the mechs who you play as,
the Speed Force and the way you kind of tap into that, it feels like you're almost playing a Flash game. And I don't mean like, mini clip. I'm talking about like the Flash.
We're talking about Newgrounds.
I'm talking about Newgrounds. No, but like seriously, it makes me wish that Rocksteady would do something like a full-on game for the Flash, because they kind of nailed how that's supposed to feel. And I feel like in a lot of ways, Suicide Squad succeeds in ways that the Avengers game failed. It's really got a solid foundation when it comes to its gameplay, when it comes to its traversal. The open world is beautiful. If you love DC Comics, if you love the city of Metropolis, if you're a fan of the fact that that city is its own character, I feel like Rocksteady did nail it in terms of design. My only issue falls under the fact that it's pretty empty. There's basically no civilian life. And I understand, some people came at me online like, Caboose, there's an alien invasion. Obviously there's no civilians. It's like, yeah, but I don't know. I was hoping for there to just be like something more hopeful, something that that gives you that feeling of like, yes, you are a bunch of anti-heroes, you are a bunch of jerks, criminals, but there's some good in you. I think that's what's inherently interesting about the Suicide Squad is they're bad people forced to work for like an even worse person, and that for some reason makes them almost realize why it's better to be good.
Wait, do you think Waller's worse than them? She does some shady things. Like she does what's necessary, though. This is a whole other conversation. She does what's necessary.
She does what's necessary by basically sacrificing people and putting explosives in their
people.
Here a prison system is supposed to be a rehabilitation to get back into society, not necessarily to be able to send them off on suicide missions.
I'm really happy you're not voting in the DC universe right now.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you on this one, Camille.
2024, Amanda Waller.
But okay, we'll offline.
Anyways, the gameplay, honestly, in my personal opinion, I think it's really solid. I think the gunplay especially has a lot going for it. At certain points, like just stringing together your traversal and like that feeling of like constantly moving. I know a lot of people draw comparisons to something like Sunset Overdrive. I had a very like Borderlands feel to it as well, where you're not stationary for like 5 seconds. You know, you have to always be ping-ponging around. And in some instances, it's great, like especially if you're just free roaming around the open world with your friends, just taking out a bunch of Brainiac minions. It can be a really good time. But there's other instances where there's some like there's missions we jumped into where it's like, what is going on? Like there is just so much on my screen at once. I have no focus on what my objective is. I don't know what I'm really supposed to be doing. There was a couple of instances where we were playing with a Rocksteady developer and they had to kind of get me back on track. They were like, oh, this is what our objective is. This is what we need to be doing. Mission design is super like generic, in my opinion. A lot of them are just shoot the weak point, and then there you go, you're done. You know, like or defend this position from the endless waves of enemies, whatever it might be. The story though seems really interesting. The writing is great. There's some like laugh out loud funny moments, and also some moments. There was one cutscene I wish I could have shown, but I wasn't allowed to record it. Like the chills that I felt just watching it. I remember I looked over to my group and we were all like, yo, this is pretty cool, man. So I'm very interested in the story. Yes.
Okay, back to like your gameplay thoughts, right? And I know like there's probably some things you can't answer, but were other people playing as some of the other characters? Because like my worry looking at the game is like all four kind of move similarly.
That's definitely not the case.
Okay.
Definitely not the case. I will say I didn't get to play Harley or Deadshot. I was playing, our entire play session was with a full group of 4. And they said we can play as whoever, which by the way, from what I understand in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, if you wanted 4 people to play as Captain Boomerang, you could do that. There's a disclaimer where it says that like it may impact like certain audio like moments, and then also when you're playing as 4 characters that are the same, you'll then have like a load into a cutscene. Whereas if you're playing as the like 4 members of the squad, you'll seamlessly transition into cutscenes.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So stuff like that, it's fine. Like I think it's great that they're just offering the opportunity for everybody to just play as whoever they want to.
Sure.
But like I said, I played King Shark, I played Captain Boomerang, and they feel very different from one another, especially in their traversal. Like you have to have a different plan to get from point A to point B when you're playing those characters. Captain Boomerang is very focused around his speed force. You want to launch your boomerangs at the ground so then you can take off running, and then you want to jump, use your air dashes, go up walls. With King Shark, it's more so just charge your jump, go as far as you can, slide when you land, charge your jump, and just keep on going. Just string that all together. He felt very much like a brute I do wish that he didn't have any guns. I think he would have been really cool, especially for an RPG, as just an entirely melee focused character, because he's just such a tank, and it feels so satisfying to use that ground pound. Like, you go high up in the air and then just start spinning out of control and cannonball on a group of enemies.
Street Sharks.
It's very addicting. Like, I'm telling you,
Samoa Joe is
it's Samoa Joe.
Okay.
He is fantastic. This like so good. Again, I think that there's going to be some stuff here that's going to surprise a lot of people. I think a lot of people are going to realize that Rocksteady is a AAA studio making a AAA game. And the one thing I feel like unanimously, like you would be hard pressed to find a negative about this, is that I was playing with 4 people in a group together in a massive open world, and it was 60 FPS, no drops, no hitches.
Even with everything going on screen, nothing
with all that stuff.
Wow.
And that's what impressed me the most. You know, I did think it was a bit of a sensory overload, but even with so many particle effects happening on screen at once, still buttery smooth.
Can you say whether or not? Yeah, I was about to ask. Can you say what you played it on?
I think we were playing on PlayStations, unless I don't know if they were PCs or not, but I'm pretty sure we were playing on PlayStations.
So you had a DualSense in your hands?
I had a PlayStation controller in my hands, that's for sure.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm pretty sure we were playing on Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. But I was very surprised by the performance of the game.
Okay.
Considering how much was happening, and I feel like this is the first time, especially for superhero games, where you can play with up to 4 people in an open world and it run that well. And I guess that's the cost of it being a relatively empty city. You know, that's just that's what happens. Unfortunately,
which, like, really, like, I mean, I don't know. I get that it adds to the immersion to have like a full city, but in reality, who cares? Like,
I mean, it would be cool. It would be cool though to hear like their comments to citizens, because you know they'll be rude to them, but also save them. Yeah. Like it'd be really cool to see. Like, especially playing Spider-Man, and you have those interactions with like citizens if you fall out of nowhere.
Like the finger guns, you high five, right? Like, imagine like somebody coming up to Deadshot being like, "Oh, can we take a photo?" And he's like, "No." Like,
I don't know, but here's the thing. It's like, I don't know if I would want that, because it's like, can I take a photo? It's like, do you not see what's going on? Like,
okay. So honestly, I think at the end of the day, my whole thing, mainly why I was hoping for there to be some civilian life, is because from what I understand, the way that it's set up, and this isn't really a spoiler, this is literally like, you'll find this out in the first 10 minutes, is that it seems like they've pretty much wiped out the whole city.
Oh, okay.
And it's just like, for me, it's just really bleak. Like, it's just very like, oh man, you know, with Gotham, it's like, it's supposed to be grimy and dark. It's supposed to be like Riley right now.
That is literally
that's
all of Arkham's games.
So if Gotham is like always in despair, if it's like the people of Gotham don't even want to go out at night because of all the things that happen there, I think I can understand that a bit more, which is why something like Gotham Knights was a bit more lenient on, because I get it. It's like a crime-ridden city, right? Yeah. But Metropolis is supposed to be like the opposite. It's supposed to be like beaming with life and colorful and like Riley right now. You know, it's supposed to be just like this really like a beautiful place. You know, it's like a utopia almost, and that's the vibe of Metropolis. And design-wise, they nailed it. Like, it looks and feels like Metropolis. But it's just, once you start going through the streets, you're like, oh man, like, yeah, this is really dire. Like, I don't know if there's any way to go back from this, you know? Like, and even for the Justice League, it's like, first of all, I really don't want to kill them. I don't know if we do or not. But if they end up like dying, then it's like, so I'll say this, even if they don't end up dying, it's like, how are they even possibly redeemed in the eyes of the people at this point? You know,
true.
I don't know. It's very dark, like very bleak.
Which is so interesting, because I think with Suicide Squad, how we are used to seeing them, especially more recently, it is like, oh, light and funny, fun,
and,
right?
And it is really funny, and it is full of humor, and you would be, you know, you'd think that it's like a lighter tone compared to the Arkham games.
But this would definitely be a much different game than what we're used to. Like, we're used to basically being the hero as Batman, but like when we have to kill Batman, that's a new type of gameplay that I'm interested to see the take that they have on that, especially when it comes to like the characters that we had grown up and loved, and then now we're responsible of killing them, like literally. So it's like I'm hoping that at the end they're like, oh yeah, no, everyone's saved, and Suicide Squad saves the day, whatever. But if they commit to being like, okay, yeah, no, Suicide Squad dead, or like Justice League is dead, like it's just that to me, I'm like, ooh, I'm interested to see what their take is on that.
And I think like that's a huge risk, because it's like like you said, Steve, it's like those characters we grew up loving, and there's like we hold them so close to our heart. So it's like I feel like that is probably within the story how the community will be a bit more hard, like depending on how they change these characters, or even like if you end up fighting Batman, like how does he fight? Does it make sense? Like what gadgets he's using, or if you're able to defeat him, right? Like I feel like that's where all the nerds will come out and the great debate will happen. But I'm also here for that discourse as well. I love. Yeah, I would love for them to switch it up.
Is certainly going to be interesting on this one, and I feel like for a lot of people, I agree. I agree with the take online, but I'm also frustrated in the fact that a lot of people are saying that this isn't the game that they wanted from Rocksteady after this long wait since Arkham Knight. I mean, it's been almost 9 years since Arkham Knight came out. And I understand, and I to an extent I agree that Suicide Squad isn't particularly what I was asking for. But I'm more of a person who's not like, where somebody asks me, oh, how's your steak? And I'm like, this isn't the fish that I ordered. It's like, okay, here's the steak that I got. How does it taste? Is it good? Does it work for me? Like this is the Suicide Squad game that Rocksteady made. This is what they wanted to deliver on. And so I'm judging it on that. And I'm not trying to say like, I don't like it because it's not what I wanted. I think that's unfair criticism in my personal opinion. But there are some things that I do have problems with. I think it's a bit of a sensory overload sometimes. I think there's too much going on your screen at once. And then also when it comes to the live service thing, I mean, we barely scratched the surface on that, I think, with our hands on. And I don't think we were going to be able to experience what that's going to be like anyways. This is more so just a feel for the story, a feel for the gameplay. And there's some things that really work. I feel like somewhere in there is the potential for not just a good game, but a great game from Rocksteady. But there's a couple of things just like holding it back, just pulling it back ever so slightly from reaching that greatness. So we'll see. I mean, the launch is in like a couple of weeks now, basically.
I forgot. That's coming up soon.
That's very soon. February launch. Very soon. We'll see how that goes and everything. And I always remember the impact that DC Universe, that cinematic opening had. And I can't imagine how this, like, where, like, literally you saw, like, Batman die and Superman die and all that stuff. Like,
the DC Universe Online?
I still remember that. It was so good. I remember
that trailer when that was released, I was like, holy crap.
And I always remember the impact that had. So I can't imagine how this one will have if you actually, like, kill off all the Justice League. So can't wait to see what happens here.
See how it goes.
Steve Saylor.
Okay.
The spotlight's yours, sir.
Okay, all right. So I actually have a little presentation to kind of show y'all. So
my gosh!
What? Let me see if I can share my screen real quick.
Is there a laser pointer?
Can we get one?
No, there's no laser pointer, but. Okay, can everyone see my screen? It's just a blue screen right now.
I can see it.
Yes.
Okay. Marcel, are you able to see that in the recording on your end?
Yep, I already switched it over. I'm good.
Okay, cool. All right. So everyone, welcome into.
Isn't that so nice?
That is not me.
Everyone's there. Every single person is there.
That is
every single
not
person.
me.
Yes.
That is clearly not me.
This is sorry, Marcel. This is unfortunately you had left at this point. This is from this is from our the Minnow holiday party that we were all at. We have a
stand-in for this photo. That's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. So
ringer.
Yeah. So anyway, all right. So
that's hilarious.
The way that this Game of the Year list happened, and to kind of keep it as as democratic as possible. I had it where first basically we all chose our top 5 games of the year.
Never mind, sorry, go ahead.
What?
I just picture it.
What?
I forgot we never got a picture with just us, and you cut off the other people in the picture.
Yes, I did. Yeah. yeah. There was other people in the picture too. There was Dapper. Sorry, Dapper. That's the mystery hand that's around Kirsten.
Oh boy.
We did take another photo. It's just not published, as far as I know.
I don't have that photo. That was this is the only photo I got.
Yeah,
with Marcel.
Why did we just use that one? I don't know.
No one sent it to me. So there.
that is true. I blame Kirsten. I do blame Kirsten.
Yeah, Kirsten was this is a professional photographer that was there for us anyway.
Right, fair enough.
So the way
yeah,
so and I thought it'd be funny for this one too. Anyway, because that's the only photo I got. Sorry, Marcel. So the way it works is that we all basically chose our personal top 5 games of the year, and we put them in order from 1 to 5, and then each of us sent it to me, and I personally had my top 5 first chosen before anyone else sent me theirs, so that way I wasn't influenced by my own vote based on other people's sort of choices. And the way it works, we kind of did similar to homage to Kind of Funny in how they do their game of the year list, where each placement in the list equals to a certain amount of points. So if you put a game in your number 1 spot, that means you get 5 points. And number 2 means you get 4, 3 is 3, 4 is 2, and 5 is 1, and that's the breakdown of points. And then based on that is whoever gets the most amount of points gets placed into our collective top 5. So I will say as well, because I do have a full list of how many people actually did, or actually how many games we had sent in. We have about 20 games total was sent in. 20. Wow. This is 20 separate games. So just as I'll break down sort of like the scores in a bit, but I wanted to at least show our top 5. So here we go. Here is our number 5. You can be able to play here. Here we go.
All right.
Our number 5.
Dun, dun. Number 5
is Baldur's Gate.
Wow.
Yeah, that's where this is going here, folks.
Yeah, we're spicy. I like it.
Right,
so I can't bring up the list at the moment because I think it sort of clips out of the actual things I'm sharing. I don't know. Does it clip out when you would if I switch over to different tabs?
I can say I don't know if you switch to different tabs.
I did. Yeah, I just did now.
I'm looking at the same thing. Yeah. So I will say I'm pretty sure, and this is because I haven't played it yet. I didn't actually even include Baldur's Gate on my list. I tried to make sure that everything on my list were games that I played and beat.
That's fair. That's how we wanted it.
So I will say maybe in another universe, if I had dedicated or had the time to play Baldur's Gate, this could have been higher. But I think that's what makes our particular list very interesting. And I'm very excited to see what's 4 through 1. If at 5 we're starting off with the actual winner of Game.
So I do want to be able to. So I do want to ask. Sammy. So I definitely do, because I want us to talk about Baldur's Gate 3 in a minute, but I do want to ask first, before we get into the discussion, I want to ask Sammy first, because you had Baldur's Gate 3 as your number 1 game. Yeah. You were the only one to choose the Baldur's Gate 3 as your number 1 game. So why was it your number 1?
Oh man, this for me, 100% game of the year. I spent the most time. I still get excited. I'm still trying to get my friends to finish our playthrough because I have so many different playthroughs. It's just there's so much to do in this game. It's just fantastic. Even if you do the same thing 7 times, you'll get different voice lines. It's so great, and the cast is amazing. The art direction, while it does bug out sometimes, also fantastic. And then just the community itself, Larian is such a great studio, and not that they 100% fan service, but they give us what we need, even without us having to tell them. So I just I need to applaud Larian Studios for this, because it was such a huge thing that they did.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, for me, when I played Baldur's Gate 3, I enjoyed for what I did, and it was one of those. It's been those games that I've not finished, but I want to go back to. But I kind of now knowing what the world is kind of like and what to expect, and like the choices for how to play it is endless. I kind of now knowing that I kind of consider my first run a trial run, so I can go back and actually like now I'm going to create a new character and be like, okay, now I know what to do. Now the freedom that I have, I want to go back in and actually like play it properly in that sense. And I know that D&D, it's like you can never really play it like there's no proper way to play D&D. So and this is the closest like I think any game has ever gotten to what an actual session of a D&D game is like. And I think it was very extremely well done. Definitely deserved all of the awards of the Game Awards last year. And I just like I actually enjoyed playing it on the Steam Deck of all things too. So it was great. Anyone else want to chime in about Baldur's Gate 3?
I mean, I just remember that for a while there, the entire conversation was like, nope, Tears of the Kingdom. That's game of the year. Nothing's going to stop it. That's it. Lock it in. Mm-hmm. And then this game comes out of nowhere, and it wasn't even like immediate too. It wasn't like day one. Everyone was like, oh man, the race has changed. Now it's like, no. This was like, a lot of people had to really sink their teeth into this, and a lot of people had to put, I imagine, a decent amount of hours before you started to hear this crazy buzz. And then all of a sudden, everyone on the internet was playing and talking about Baldur's Gate 3 to the point where it was like, okay, it's a two-man race now between this and Tears of the Kingdom. Yep. And this might be
there was a specific moment when Baldur's Gate like broke out of his bubble into the zeitgeist, and it's when people started talking about having sex with the bear. And that's the moment. Draw back all the way to history when people were like, I gotta play this game now.
Bear. We need to have sex with bears in more games. In order
exactly, Riley.
And here's the thing, too.
Zelda, you can craft stuff and everything, but you're like, babe, you can't have sex with a bear?
No, but here's the thing. It's like, I think that what was different about that moment as compared to, say, like Tears of the Kingdom. Yes, Tears of the Kingdom, you can be able to create whatever you want. I think the hype of that game that I kept seeing was just the amount of things you can create, like just based on the physics in the game of like what, like I remember like that was the majority of the clips I saw, which is people basically creating like mechs and like full on cars. It was very cool. But with Baldur's Gate 3, what I remember seeing them like that it was that bear scene. I think that pretty much would spark the internet on fire. What it really kind of showcased was, that's the kind of choice you can make in this game. What else kind of choices can you do? And I think that's kind of like what sparked people's interest to be like, what else can Baldur's Gate 3 do? And I think, built in the fact that it had several years of it being in beta, where people could just, play it, and they were constantly updating it and as they went, until the point where they finally were able to release it after a couple of years of being in early access. I think all of that kind of helped kind of create this sort of mountain of just interest in Baldur's Gate 3 to the point where I think that the bear scene was basically just the tip of the iceberg, that everyone's like, wait, what is that over there? And then seeing now all of how big that iceberg really is, I think was really cool.
And I think what's really great is like heavy hitters voice actors in this game, like Jason Isaacs in it. J.K. Simmons is in it. And like you don't even realize, and you're just like, oh, there is massive voice power, like not even including just like the main voice actors who do a fantastic job. Like all these celebrities were just like B tier in comparison to like the quality of the product and like the other voice actors in itself too.
Yep. Agreed. Cool. All right.
Number 4.
Moving on to wait for it.
I'm nervous.
To our number 4.
I have no idea.
High Five Rush.
Wow.
Yes. So I mean that definitely like no one actually had this in their number 1. So this is interesting that it's like where the highest it got was actually from you, Marcel. You put this as your number 3 game. Tell us why you felt like it put it there in that sort of a spot for you as number 3.
For a game that just came out of nowhere, and I had such a great enjoyment. It was a great way to kick off the year with great fighting combinations you could do. For me, I have like a fighting game background as well, but like you could just the number of combinations you could do. The music was really catchy. I was laughing my head off with the game and the whole commentary. Like it was just such a great ride and a great way to kick off like the year as well. So almost a year to the date, like it was a great year, great way just to start everything, and I absolutely love the game. So
yeah, I mean, we talked about this before the break, but like these kind of shadow drops are just so cool, you know. Like for me, it generates so much hype because I remember watching that Xbox Direct and seeing this game and being like, man, this is pretty sweet, you know. Like this gameplay looks like really like fun and like interactive and very unique from unlike anything we've seen before. And then they're like, oh yeah, by the way, it's out right now. And I'm like, wait, what? Like I can download it this very second. Like that for me like drew my like hype for the game up tenfold. And I was like, nah, I have to play it. You know, it went from a game where I was like, I think I'll probably get this at some point to like, well, if it's out right now, I have to.
I'm gonna play it now. Yeah,
this is my day. Like, you know. Yeah.
And it was a packed year. Like there were so many great games that like you wanted to play. So like having those shadow drops, I'm loving that trend, and I love when they do come because it kind of forces you to like have zero excuses to try it as you see it. But man, this is a good one.
Yeah, it's
there are so cool many great games.
It's so cool too, seeing that like this is from Tango, and everyone saw that like Tango's making a new game. They're like, all right, like Evil Within, or you know, like what's the next? How you gonna spook me next, right? And then it's like, no, actually, here's this like wonderful, super colorful, funny action adventure game where you have to play to a beat the entire time. It's like, man, like I love that they have such a unique portfolio of games now with Hi-Fi Rush.
And I think the best part about it is that you can play this game and not even have that much rhythm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
I don't have that much rhythm. And I thought that was going to be a detriment to it. Like the beginning hour, I was like, man, it's just not clicking to me. I don't know like what it is about it. It's just, I just can't wrap my head around it. But I was able to continue playing, continue doing very well in it. And so much so that as soon as I rolled credits on it, I was like, let's do another round. Let's do another playthrough of this game because it's that fun. The music's that catchy. And I think that there's so many customizable and tools there and ways to tailor the experience that doesn't feel like a detriment if you're not 100% on the beat or mastering the game's mechanics. I think it's just a genuinely great game to play.
Yeah, I think actually
I was going to say they even have to add like a challenge mode later on because just everyone's like, I want more from this game, and they added a challenge mode based off of that.
Right.
So.
For sure, and I think that kind of goes a testament of also like accessibility that they took seriously into the game too, because not only is that like there's ways to be able to customize your experience to be able to try to help you stay on beat, because that they do encourage is that is sort of the better way to play. It's like if you can stay on beat, it just makes that experience that much more fun. But they do understand that not everyone has like rhythm essentially, or has the ability to be able to stay on beat. So they did offer a lot of accessibility and just options to kind of help along with that. And also as well, and even accessibility side, it was great to be able to see this because you would think, okay, it's a rhythm-based game. It's based on the audio. It's based on the music. How can a deaf or hard of hearing player be able to enjoy this? And they took that and took that as a challenge and was like, okay, let's make this as accessible as possible. But they did so, but not only just by adding just options to kind of like turn on and okay, now it's accessible for deaf and hard of hearing. It was they integrated it as part of the design. The fact that the environment also goes to the beat as well, and they made it as part of the narrative, being like, okay, now like Chai is seeing the world and everything is just in a rhythm, and he's like like where the windows and all the like equipment and everything that's all around him is essentially going to the beat. Like that's a cool narrative way to integrate that, and that also is accessibility. And I just found that was really cool. So shout out to Hi-Fi Rush is sort of like the first game of the year contender I think we had in 2023, which was great.
You don't realize how much this is like an Xbox game with their message as well, with like, you know, accessibility, diversity as well. Like even the thing that goes in Chai is like a Zune like knockoff. Like it looks exactly like a Zune. So it's pretty wild. Just like when you think about like with their message, this is like here's an Xbox game. It's the perfect branded Xbox game. It was just a lot of fun. A great way to kick off the year. So
yep. For sure. All right. Moving on to our number 3. We have The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Wow.
Yeah,
the two big ones are not the number one. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Hey, like I said, there may be some surprises. There may not be, but yeah. So I actually want to throw this to. I'm going to throw it to Camille first because you had a very great year in regards and tying into Zelda as well. But I do want to say that both Camille and Riley chose this as their number 1 game of the year. So Camille, why don't you tell us about why you put Zelda as your game of the year?
It's the best game of the year. I quit this podcast.
Wow. Okay.
Look, it's a really cool experience. I think a huge hindrance for some people who, even at the Game Awards, looked at this game and didn't want to necessarily put it into a spotlight for Game of the Year is because it takes place in the same environment as its predecessor. I think that alone, if you have not played Tears of the Kingdom, unfortunately turns people off. But if you have played Tears of the Kingdom, it is an adventure that just keeps on going. You could have 300 plus hours of the game and still not do a single drop of story, just trying to find Korok seeds. And it's not boring. It doesn't seem mindless. There's just, this formula that Nintendo's had with Breath of the Wild, and it's that was perfect, and they somehow made this game feel like this was supposed to be the initial release, like Breath of the Wild. This was supposed to be the Breath of the Wild, but I'm not mad it wasn't, but it's still just as great and better. It's this weird feeling of nostalgia that you have, but then also having to adjust because of how they did the story and some surprises, especially for Zelda fans, with how they tell this beautiful story that I don't think a lot of people also talk about because they don't want to spoil it, because it's a lot for the Legend of Zelda community to have a game come out after that takes place in the same environment as a previous game. And for that alone, for me, Ocarina of Time, I think a lot of people of our generation, Ocarina of Time is that game that they felt nostalgic with. They remember where they were at certain moments or what was happening in the room while they were playing that game. I have had this moment with Tears of the Kingdom countless times in certain points, and even telling some of my family members, oh, come over because check out what's happening, look what I created. And to your point, Steve, look what I created. I've been able to shish kebab 12 different Koroks on a skewer, and it's hilarious, right? So it's just endless fun. And honestly, I'm a person that I more am for going to the objective, heavily following the story. So I think it was really tough to kind of reel me back in for such an open world experience, and because I do have a hard time going through games that are very open world, but I never had a dull moment at all. And Riley, I'm curious with you and your thoughts as well.
Yeah, I think, and I really want to put this up front, is I hate to agree with Camille on anything, but I really, what I loved about this is maybe the land was kind of familiar, but they changed it a bit, and there's a whole area below it, there's a whole area above it, there's the whole core of the game is how you modify vehicles and how you travel around the world, which was not present before. So it feels like it's like Grand Theft Auto to Red Dead. That's the difference. It's you're not on a horse anymore. Now you got jets, you got cars, it changes everything. And the narrative and the voice acting and everything lands so well that I was playing it, but not wanting to ever really finish the story because I enjoyed my time so much. Going over there and finding a village and they're under attack by this, and everywhere you go, there's always something different. So this game always kept me on my toes. I was excited to play it throughout. Now that we're talking about it, I kind of want to boot it.
Yes, we are.
It was a really special game, and I think that Nintendo just absolutely knocked it out of the park with it. And I honestly, I'm curious to see where the franchise goes from here because it was so good.
And
it's just like so good.
It's like, you know, you're in that game and you start off on the Sky Islands and you're just like, they give you everything that you're going to have for majority of your time playing that game right from the start, right from that intro. Then you could drop seamlessly down from the Sky Island straight to the depths. And then it's like, you know, when you're playing Breath of the Wild, the Blood Moon happens. That was like chilling, the music, the voice acting. You didn't want to experience that. Here, just dropping into the depths and going into the unknown was that thing I didn't want to experience. That was like, okay, I'm not doing this at nighttime. Yeah. Even hearing the blood, you know, Princess Zelda say the Blood Moon rises and like her little monologue there. Yeah, it's like, let me skip that really quick because I'm playing at night and it freaks me out. They still manage to like get all these emotions out of you, even though you're in a familiar place. And I think that is such a challenge on its own that I don't think a lot of people recognize or are willing to dive into the game if they've played Breath of the Wild and haven't played Tears of the Kingdom, willing to like jump back in, because when you truly play it, you realize it's a huge difference.
Actually, to add on to that point, to what you're saying, Camille, but like being able to jump from the Sky Islands to the depths in basically the same move. This is like the thing I loved about this game was it shut up every single Nintendo hater being like, oh, we need a Switch 2. There's no way that games can be able to be played on a Switch anymore, because just look at Pokemon. It can't even run at like 30 FPS, let alone 60 FPS. But it was like Nintendo was like, oh yeah, bet and hold my beer. And then basically because they knew that they had this, and the fact that like you had 3 full maps basically stacked on top of each other, and the fact you could go from the Sky Islands all the way down to the depths, and you would not like, there's no loading screen, like it just works seamlessly together. You're like actively encouraged to do it.
Yeah,
exactly.
And it was great. It was so much fun. Like the flow was good. Like I think that's why it was my number one. I kind of want to get back to it right now.
Even like the characters, oh my gosh, or if you accidentally fall and you're like you're just out of stamina and you like just keep falling, you're like, oh crap, like you're falling to your death. But it's like there's like so many exactly. There's so many characters in this world as well that I think made Breath of the Wild stand out, and them introducing the raids and going along monster hunts with like these characters, like they're hilarious, they're funny. Even like Addison, man, like Addison, I never want to see you hold up a sign again. How much is Addison getting paid? Because that's the question that I have. Like there's so much quirkiness and like just it's just crazy how they were able to build this world. And you know what? Fairly on a limited system for than what we're used to of this generation.
Sure.
And it doesn't for me, and I think a lot of people that I know love this game as much as I do, it didn't interfere with how they experience this game. Mm-hmm. And that again is a huge challenge.
I have no clue how they got the physics to work the way they do.
Yeah.
Like it is like you're rolling up chains and stuff like that in real time. I'm like, and making machines that like tank treads and stuff. I'm like, I don't like, it's all like functioning and actually moving around and solving puzzles for you. And that to me was like, I was just blown away by what the teams were able to do.
Yeah.
I think, between this and obviously as well Baldur's Gate, I think a large part of why they've become so beloved, it's just that creativity and the freedom of allowing the player to just go nuts. And this game definitely like it started it off, which is why like a lot of people were thinking this is the number one game of the year. And I mean it's the fact that if every single one of us here have played Tears of the Kingdom, I'd imagine we all played it differently from one another.
Sure.
And I think that's really cool. I mean, granted, like a lot of open world games kind of tend to lean that way, but this game especially, with the creativity with the building, the different vehicles that you can make, and it just became like a whole sort of trend online of like how crazy, like what kind of ridiculous thing can somebody put together, to the point where, like you were saying, Camille, like people were making like mechs and like just there was some insanity that I was seeing online, and I think that's so awesome, and it's something that I feel like we need in a lot of games, just that level of creativity, that opportunity to just hey, here, just have fun, do what you want, you know?
It's that same sandbox experience that Breath of the Wild gave us, where it's like, if you can think about it, if you can think and rationalize it in a video game, it can work.
Yeah.
They give you all the tools that you need in order for your imagination to run wild. And it's like, if you want to make a helicopter from the sky, go all the way down into the depths, you can do it. And like, the world's your oyster in this game. And I think, just to throw it out there, this game didn't even make my list only because the biggest positive of this game was its biggest detriment to me in a year where 2023 was chock full of awesome games, must play games. I just could not continue playing this game because I kept getting sidetracked and kept abandoning other games I wanted to get to the point where I was like, I just gotta walk away from this game. I love it. I adore every single aspect of this game, but I cannot spend more than 100 hours in this world in a year that 2023 was. If I was a child, if I was like 12 years old, this game came out and was in my lap, I think this would be like the most like religious experience of my life, where you would not even need another game. You could just play this in perpetuity for years to come. But I mean, we're all adults here. I got caught up in work and other games and traveling and stuff like that. So it came to a point where I was like, listen, I can't see this game through until the very end. I'm still chipping away at it. But until I reach the credits, until I have like a full formed opinion on this game, it unfortunately just didn't even make my list. But I echo everything that everyone said about this game. This game is like a once in a lifetime kind of experience.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. So before I reveal the number 2, I do want to be able to say that the difference between number 3 and number 2 was by 1 point. I mean, so this was a close one.
Who did it?
It's down to 2, right? It's down to 2, right? So like whatever this game is means that the other game is.
I hope I know what these next 2 should be.
I don't know what the order will be. I don't know what the order will be. We'll see. All right. So
let's see.
Our number 2 game is.
Oh man,
Alan Wake.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. This was mine and Steve's number 1 game. So
Steve's in solidarity.
Yes. So Steve, why don't you explain why this was your number 1? We've heard you talk about Alan Wake 2 before in your review in an earlier episode, but explain why you chose this as your game of the year.
No, I've waxed poetic about this game for hours. I've personally talked to probably each and every one of you on the panel and like nerded out about this game for hours to the point where I'm probably insufferable about it. But I'll do it one more time because this game deserves it. This is Remedy's magnum opus as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I think a lot of us like really enjoyed and really caught attention to Remedy when Control came out. I think for good reason. That game was masterful in its execution in terms of gameplay, but then to return to Alan Wake, kind of establishing, kind of flesh out what now is this whole Remedy verse, take a character and a game that some people may have overlooked. It was a very niche game and niche property, and kind of bring it into what is now mainstream in terms of it's now just popularity. And also in a year like 2023, where you had stuff like the Dead Space remake, Resident Evil 4 remake, to come out with your own survival horror game and have it be such a twist and unique property, I think is something that you have to take notice of. I mean, Alan Wake 2 is not only terrifying, and I mean legitimately terrifying, but it has such a construct of narrative, of proper execution of storytelling that really establishes Sam Lake and Remedy to, in my opinion, the same upper echelon as Kojima in terms of being an auteur, in terms of being so dedicated to your vision, so dedicated to your craft that you're unlike anything else. And I think that Remedy is in such an interesting position where they're independent, they got proper funding and everything, that they can make a game like Alan Wake 2 and not worry about the repercussions. They even took a big bold stance in partnering up with Epic Games and saying, hey, this is a digital only game. Sure, you look at the sales, I don't think that it really panned out the way that it wanted that they wanted it to. But that being said, I think that the people that did invest in the game, that did catch the word of mouth, they had a really great time with it. And the moment, and I still say this, the moment that We Sing started, and every single person I've talked to that gets through that sequence, they're like, holy shit, they actually committed to this. And the fact that it panned out to the point where we're sitting there, a lot of us are sitting there at the Game Awards seeing We Sing in person is such a cool moment. And I think that's going to be celebrated, at least for me, for the years to come.
Yeah.
The last thing I just want to say is, like, every single time I think of why Alan Wake deserves even just to be in the Game of the Year conversation, I always look back to 10 years ago when Sam Lake recorded himself on a webcam and apologized, almost like emotionally in tears, to say, hey, we're not going to do an Alan Wake 2 because we just don't have the funding right now. Microsoft we're moving into a different direction with Microsoft. We're going to do Quantum Break instead. Alan Wake, a sequel to Alan Wake probably isn't going to happen. And to come back and see the genuine smiles of Sam Lake and his team be able to put this out in the forefront and to stand on stage and accept awards, that's incredible. And I think that's such a milestone for the industry.
Such an awesome story as well. Yeah. Like a great underdog story of them just coming back from what seemed like, that was anybody who was a fan of the first game, anybody who was a fan of this franchise, I guess now, who wanted more. It seemed like all hope was lost. You put up I saw that video and I was like, damn, that would crush me if I was like as big of a fan of that first game as I know a lot of people out there are. And so, yeah, you're absolutely right. The fact that the second game did end up being made, the fact that it was as good as it is, the fact that it got so much awards recognition. And now for a lot of people, I think you're absolutely right in that Sam Lake definitely needs to be up there as one of the pillars in gaming, as a creative mind of the likes of Hideo Kojima. And yeah, the fact that smile on his face on stage when he's dancing at the Game Awards.
Oh yeah.
I love it, man. I love it. Even
he was having a blast.
Even if I wasn't there day one for Alan Wake, that was I'm sold. I'm all in now. I'm an Alan Wake ride or die after that, because that's just I love it. I love it.
I actually recently just finished Alan Wake, and I'm completely sold and invested in the whole Remedy verse, the whole multiverse that they have going on and everything, and just to see how the game portray itself. And there was some parts where I'm like, I don't quite like that, but this game had me hooked. And I was really enjoyed it, so it was really well done.
Yeah, for me, the reason why I chose this as my number one, because it was a hard choice for me to decide on. On what to choose, because I was like, do I go the accessibility route, or just go what my own personal feelings was as far as the games I played. And it there was only a few games that I actually was able to roll credits on this year, and this was one of them, to the point where I actually recorded my entire playthrough of the game. And it's funny, actually, you mentioned We Sing. I put the whole thing up on my second YouTube channel that I don't really promote as much, but it's I just wanted to at least have it there as a record, and it was sort of felt like it was kind of a great thing for my mental health. I don't play horror games, but it was a great thing to be able to know that, okay, at least somebody's watching it, so it kind of feels like I'm not playing it alone. But I will say this, it basically kind of blew up that channel, because the We Sing episode essentially got 10,000 views just on that one alone, on a channel that I don't rarely use at all. So it just goes to show how cool and how great that section of the game is. And I was already kind of in on the game. I did like the FBI sort of detective kind of a stance with it. It felt friendly enough to players who may not have gone into the Alan Wake verse before. I've jumped into Alan Wake, the first one, for a little bit, but didn't really get super far. I played Control for about maybe halfway through, and then I stopped. But after playing this, I actually jumped back into Control again over the holidays, and I'm almost done that now. So so I had that going in, but I was kind of sold. But it was that We Sing that was okay, there's something else with this game here that I like I immediately was like, okay, I am in. I am 100% in. I bought into the weird sort of like nightmarish kind of worlds that we're in with this, and it definitely affected me on a level that I was not expecting. Like I was really invested in the story. I was really invested in sort of what was happening with Alan, what was happening with Saga. Like it just both. Normally it's like you think, okay, you can switch between two characters. Normally there's like a character you want to play, and then there's a character. It's like, I'm just doing this to be able to get through the next section. But with this, I was like, I like when you have the choice of you have the choice of jumping in you can go to Alan or you can go to Saga, and you can play each one in any order you want. You can jump back and forth, or you can just, hey, I'm going to finish up all of Alan's and then I'm going to jump into Saga's, or vice versa. But like for me, I love the going back and forth because I just was interested in seeing what was happening at the same time for each of these characters. So it was really, really well done, and it took me by surprise in a way that I did not expect, because again, I'm not a horror person guy. I don't like a lot of horror movies. I don't like playing a lot of horror games, and this one was scary. There was too many jump scares for me in this game more than I wanted, especially that fucking woman in the old folks home. Damn it. Anyway.
She really got me too. Oh my goodness.
Fuck. Anyway, but
I found her to be very charming. I don't know what you guys talking about.
She's a lovely lady. That's the problem. She's charming at first. Anyway, but I was like, out of all the games I played this year, I enjoyed a lot of them. It was hard to choose my top 5, but this one was like, there's something special, and I really did enjoy it.
I definitely want to have a spoiler talk with both Steves and whoever else wants to join it.
Ooh,
I recently finished it, and I was like, I need to talk to someone about this.
God, I need to play it.
Definitely recommend it.
I need to know what number 1 is.
I gotta know what that is.
I'm pretty sure we all know.
I will say this before.
I don't think I know.
Before jumping into number 1, I'm sorry, Steve. Alan Wake was number 1 for the longest time in this list. As I was waiting for the votes to come in. I was really hoping that Alan Wake was going to win it overall, but I have to say,
100%.
Marvel Spider-Man 2 is our number 1 game of the year.
My number 2.
Yes, actually, I could definitely say it was. It had the most amount of like spread of votes across the board. Definitely some higher votes for sure. But it was like, I will say, actually, the reason, like, so I said that Alan Wake was a number 1. The one that actually put it over the edge and win was Aaron. So you made it happen. So Aaron, why don't you tell us, why is Spider-Man 2 your number 1 game of the year?
I mean, the character just means so much to me growing up. I love superheroes. I love superhero games. The first game for me, like, it hit and I really enjoyed it, and I still do love it. But it was never like that, like, oh man, that feeling you got when you finished Arkham City, where you were like, I gotta buy every Batman comic right now. And just like, I need to learn every single thing about this character right now. That for me is what Spider-Man 2 did. And granted, I was already all in on this character, on this world, on the lore. But Spider-Man 2, just as soon as I rolled credits, I was like, I think I just witnessed like greatness for this genre. It ups the ante in terms of gameplay as well. Like this has, for me, out of any game ever, the best traversal. The web wings mixed with the speed that you can achieve in a Spider-Man game. Gives me so much hope for what they could do for this genre in general, for other superheroes, right? Plus the way that they tackled the Black Suit storyline, I thought that it was so interesting that they, explored the themes of addiction and what that can do to somebody. The whole, like, everything with Venom, Tony Todd's voice acting, Yuri Lowenthal, I don't care what anybody says, was robbed at the Game Awards. I think still my best performance of that year. I thought he was incredible, like genuinely gave one of the best performances we've heard in Spider-Man media. And they serviced the character so well. They did such a great job with the characters here, and especially Kraven too. Kraven is one of my favorite Spider-Man villains. I feel so underrated. A lot of people don't talk about him. He's about to get an absolutely horrific movie releasing this year that's going to create a terrible perception for the character. But thankfully, Spider-Man 2 came out first, and hopefully put enough eyes on this character to show you what he's supposed to be about. And I think they did a brilliant job balancing him and then transitioning that into Venom. And again, they have this incredible world with all these fantastical characters, and you still, at the end of the day, relate to it so much because of who they are outside of the suits. You know, Peter Parker and Miles Morales. That's what's most important at the end of the day. And that is to the core of what Spider-Man is all about, is that duality. And this game explored it in all the best ways. It's brilliant. For me, it's brilliant. It's a masterpiece. It's one of the greatest superhero games of all time. And I'm sorry that I screwed you guys over, but
it's
Spider-Man 2
It's fine.
is the Game Network's number one game of last year.
So I will say, because like again, Riley, I think you you said earlier that's one of the only times that you and Camille actually agree. You both agreed on this one because this was your number 2 game too.
No.
What is happening with 2024? Yeah, but I mean, like, it is like Spider-Man holds a whole different layer of nostalgia as a child. And, you know, when you've played, like Caboose said, the first Spider-Man, you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they did that. But you just wanted more because it's always the introduction of a story you know so well. It's like you can't wait till they get there. And this is the there you're waiting for. The arrival of Venom and how they do it is so well done, but also having to balance out essentially 2 big story arcs. You have Kraven and how they even built Kraven into that storyline, and then, you know, just refocused everything part of the way. You know, I don't want to spoil everything, but it's just it's the main story, which we could talk about for hours, but what I want to also highlight is the side missions. There's so much story development in these side missions that makes you really feel for every character you are interacting with in those side missions. And a lot of them are just citizens, you know. There are 2 in particular. There's one where she loses her grandfather at a park and she doesn't know where to find her grandfather. And you're searching around New York trying to find him. It turns out that he has Alzheimer's and he was recollecting all of his good memories with his wife. Then there's the other one where, oh my gosh, I forgot his name right now, but Howard, yes. He was in the first game, and he makes an appearance here again. And, you know, unfortunately, he's homeless, and it leads to you pretty much having to say goodbye to this character that is definitely a background character, but you could see how much that person means to Peter and Spider-Man. And the heart.
What Spider-Man is all
it's the heart of New York. It's heart of the city. And really and truly, you know, you keep hearing it whenever you see anything with Spider-Man, whereas anyone could wear the mask, and we see Miles Morales, you know, take that on in Spider-Man Miles Morales, but then he comes into his own, you know, in this game and really has to struggle with managing the loss of his father, but also this whole responsibility and then the expectations of someone his age. And, you know, with that balancing with who I know I am too. I'm just like, oh my gosh, you know, with Miles' story, and then you have Peter, and then you also have the story of the city and everyone else, like even the villains, and getting the other light of like these characters that are rewritten in a way that still keeps like these villains' origin like to, you know, true pretty much, but then also makes it anew. It's like so hard to balance when you are dealing with an IP that is so well protected by fans, and they just nailed it. They did it so well, and the performances, the voice actors, it's like, oh, I want to watch this whole thing again.
It's really it's on another level. They really did such a fantastic job with this, and I can't wait personally to see where Insomniac is going to go next. I'm very, very excited for the Wolverine game. I know we're almost certainly going to be getting a Spider-Man 3 at some point in the future, and I mean, like you mentioned, Camille, you know, there's some side content in there that sets some things up for the future that I'm very excited about to see how Insomniac tackles those things. This is for me like the complete package. And I know some people have an issue with the fact that it's a bit tighter on its runtime. You know, it is actually shorter than the first game, but I feel like they don't waste a single second here.
Yeah,
you're playing that game.
Really go ahead. About it. Yeah. I really liked about it was like how tight it was.
Yeah, like there's no Jotunheim section in Spider-Man 2, right? There's no like,
right?
Let me get past this, like, right?
Steve mentioned like Tears of the Kingdom, you know, to its credit and to its fault, is that it goes on, and there's so much to do. And Spider-Man has that girth of content if you want to get it, but like it's still so well maintained. The story I don't think it loses a dip. Like it's constantly like building and building and building and building, and you reach the end and it's like this is great. Like it's constantly getting bigger and bigger.
There's so many times when you're playing, and you know, I'm pretty sure we all felt this, whoever played the game, but it's like where you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened, and you don't even have a chance to catch your breath because something else happens. But I'm not mad. Like, I didn't need that lull in between because it just adds to the grandness of how they're really like pulling the story apart and just exploring all these characters.
The entire section when you're transitioning from Act 2 into Act 3, it's some of the best like 2 or 3 hours of gaming like ever for me, especially just as a fan of
I was like, wait, which part? Like, I'm like, I get it.
It's like storytelling.
It's exactly what Camila's saying, where it's like they do something huge and you're like, this is the climax of the story, it's not going to get bigger than this, and then it gets bigger than that and you're like, okay, how does it get bigger than this?
You think you're coming to the end of the story, and then it's like
what the hell? it's so good, so good.
Yeah, agreed. Okay.
I feel like we've all talked about it on the show. Sorry, Steve. I just want to point out that I think we've all talked about it on the show that Insomniac like carries the PlayStation 5 on its shoulders. And to me, I mean, Spider-Man 2 is like as premier of a PlayStation game as you can get, whether it's, you know, the combat traversal, the storytelling elements. It's everything that you kind of want from, you know, PlayStation's third-person action adventure kind of game that you know we've all seen. But I think what, you know, Insomniac does really well is just know the source material, are fans of the source material, and can twist it and create something solely unique and cherished that any kind of fan of Spider-Man can kind of latch onto and be like, well, I draw this to, you know, the animated television show or this comic or that. Like, it's inspiring to see something, you know, encapsulate what Spider-Man is and deliver it in such a fresh way. And I think again, we know what happened to Insomniac just a month prior and everything. So to see them kind of champion and receive all these like accolades and nods for Game of the Year and everything is very well deserved, because I think that the PlayStation 5 generation will be sorely lacking if Marvel Spider-Man 2 hadn't been arrived.
I would 100% agree with that. The fact that like I think this generation of PlayStation is solely like when we look back on it, what was the game of that generation? 100% it's Spider-Man. And like not only just that, but it like, and I say Spider-Man specifically because not only did we get Spider-Man 2, but we also had Miles Morales as well, like to launch the console with. So and then we got the remastered version from the PS4 onto the PS5 as well. So I think that and there, I don't know what it is about, I guess, the engineers or the game designers at Insomniac, but somehow they were able to tap into the true potential of what the PS5 could do, and basically took like you know when console launches, there are games that launch on that console. They're kind of like figuring out how the limits of that hardware, and usually near the end of that console cycle, we're usually getting some of the best games of that generation because people like developers have finally gotten used to the console. They know exactly what it can do and what it can't do, and then they push those limits even further as best they can. Like Insomniac basically just hit those like right out of the gate and was like, holy crap, the PS5 can do this,
right?
And it just it goes to show like it's not only can they be able to create a great game story wise, a great game gameplay wise, but also just a great game that showcases what PlayStation can do. And
like,
it's really, really cool to see.
I don't know if anybody remembers before the PS5 came out, there was like a leaked tech demo that showed the capability of the SSDs, and they were showing it through the perspective of Marvel's New York, zooming through the city while everything is loading in real time without any like pullback. And I feel like Spider-Man 2 was the proof that is possible. You know, there's some gameplay out there that I see from people where they're going like Mach 10 in this game, and it's unbelievable. You know, I've had conversations with game developers where they're like, yeah, you know, sometimes it's really hard to tackle the speed that you want in games because of the fact that you need things ahead of you to load. And so the fact that you can go as fast as you can in this Spider-Man game, again, it gives me hope for a Superman game in the future, for other superheroes to be explored and done right, given the power of these consoles.
Yeah, awesome. Agreed.
Awesome stuff. All Steve, right. Was there anything else that?
I do have some honorable mentions I want to be able to make. So
I don't know if Camille wanted to take off before. That's why I just wanted to make sure.
Oh yeah, sure. Sorry, Camille.
I'm gonna have to leave, but I thank you so much, Steve, for putting this together. And I mean, this is a good list.
Yeah. Camille, before you go, Camille, I was gonna ask everybody, name one prediction that's gonna happen in 2024. Everyone else can think of their time, but since you're on the spot though, so.
Oh, boy. Okay, I am going to say we are going to. Oh, but my prediction. Insomniac. Now it's messed up because of everything.
Meal's not leaving.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Meal's not leaving.
Oh my god.
You're not leaving now.
No. I will say we're gonna get Death Stranding 2 end of the year.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. And then anything else going on for this week? Since this is your little spotlight time, I guess.
Nothing's going on this week, but fun. Everyone, enjoy life. Have a happy New Year.
All right.
See ya.
All right. Take care.
Go ahead, Steve. Yep.
All right, yeah. So some honorable mentions. With Baldur's Gate 3 being the number 5 spot, I do want to say that the number 6 spot was off by 1 point. So I do want to mention that Super Mario Wonder was our number 6 game, then a tied for 7th place, 3 across the board is Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty, Lethal Company.
Game. Wow.
Lethal Company made it, and then Resident Evil 4 Remake was the tied for 7th place. There was a total of 57 points given to the top 5. I will say that from 5th to 1st, the points go. Baldur's Gate 3 had 7 points. Hi-Fi Rush had 8. Tears of the Kingdom had 12. Alan Wake 2 had 13, and Spider-Man 2 had 17. So
17. Oh, wow.
Yes, it was the only game that had the most spread points across the board. There was some that had say with Alan Wake and with Tears of the Kingdom, Alan Wake had 2 number 1s, and then someone put it in their number 3. Whereas Tears of the Kingdom, 2 people put it number 1, and then 1 person put it on their number 4. But with Spider-Man, it was 1 at number 1, which we know was Aaron. We had 2 at number 2, 1 at number 3, and then 1 at number 5. And so it definitely can even though
you're
Aaron,
welcome, Insomniac. I just gave you guys the opportunity to make the Game of the Year edition. Now there you go.
There we
Justified.
go. We'll send the little seal to be able to put on the box. A Gaming Podcast Network's Game of the Year.
I lagged out, but where did Party Animals rank?
Party Animals. It had 1 vote.
So just as low as Liza P.
I played it over the break. It is a really fun game.
Yeah. So Liza P. and Party Animals had the same amount of votes. Someone they put a number 3 in their both
Steve McVary is a charlatan. That dude is a snake oil salesman. That guy hyped up noms for Party Animals, and I'm the only one who voted for it.
But here's the thing. I will say, these games definitely, obviously, deserve to be in our top 5. We all chose these for a very specific reason. But I do want to say the games that only had 1 point among them is Forza Motorsport, Pikmin 4, and Street Fighter 6. So, but shout outs to them because they still made the top 5.
Majority of those are all Riley's, and one of them was mine. I know. I picked Street Fighter.
I chose Forza.
Pikmin 4 was mine.
I chose Forza myself. But
honestly don't remember.
Riley, would it make you feel any better if I told you that I was going to put party animals, but my finger slipped? Does that make you feel better?
No, because it's a lie.
Whoops! I'm typing out a whole other game.
Whoops! Whoops! Liza P. Whoops!
It autofilled, I guess. I don't know. I'm just trying
Funny
to make
enough,
you feel
Google
good.
Forms doesn't have an autofill.
You're my friend.
Riley, would it make you feel better if I told you that I still have the Elgato light strips unopened?
Unopened. Wow.
Yeah.
Damn. Just fucking.
So, by the way, also as well, I do want to give a shout out to Marcel because yours was the only game that didn't make the top 5 list, but still was your number 1 game, and that was Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah, right. It was amazing.
You know, I will say I was very close to just saying screw it and putting God of War Valhalla on my list, but I was like, I don't know if I could count it. You know, like I don't know if that'd be fair. But that would, for me, if I was being honest, that would probably be in my like top 5 for last year, because that DLC was
great.
That was probably the
Really
biggest
good.
surprise
Ongoing game.
for me.
Best
on
ongoing game.
next year, this year actually, the Game Awards, best ongoing game, God of War Ragnarok. There you go.
No way. It's 100% Dead by Daylight. They have to win something.
Yes.
Like, for the love of
It
God.
is about time. It is about
Jesus
time.
Christ.
And they got an Alan Wake
They got
DLC
Alan
coming,
Wake
so
today.
let's go.
Come on.
It's under by you. Look him in the eyes and tell him you let him.
It's barely
It's
coming
such a
through.
blurry
Right?
mess. It's such a blurry mess. dude.
Your webcam doesn't even want us to look him in the eyes.
They barely come through, don't they?
Oh my.
Unbelievable.
Poor Steve. Steve's gonna get a
Underbite.
big letter. He got a sturdy letter.
That's underbite. You let him down, dude.
Wow.
But that was really great. Thanks for putting that together.
That is pretty
Steve.
cool.
Yes,
that you
thank
got
you,
that,
Steve.
though.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. It was great.
That
It was
was
honestly
amazing. That was amazing.
It was really, really fun to kind of put together and just seeing like where the votes coming in and like kind of figuring out where it was. Because like for those listening at home, there were several times where there were like 3-way ties for like 2nd and 3rd place. But Alan Wake was like the only one that was like number 1 across the board, like for the longest time. And then just slowly and surely everyone started putting their votes in.
As
then
soon as you mentioned that, I was like, oh, that was definitely me who shifted the time, because I was like the last person to put in the votes.
Yeah,
that's
that's the thing. I did not know. I did not think that you might have put, because I was like, you know what? There could have been other games that like Aaron could throw in a surprise, being like, I didn't know that Spider-Man would have been your number 1, but like as soon as you put it in, I was like,
I
Steve
will
Ross.
say,
No, you did.
again, I think I don't remember.
It may have been Bluey. Who knows? You know. So
I think again, similar to Baldur's Gate, like Alan Wake 2 just wasn't a game I'd gotten around to yet. So I just didn't feel it fair to put it on my list.
Yeah.
But I feel like in another world, if I had the time to play it, it probably would have been up there, and it probably would have ended up taking the number 1 spot because of that.
In another
get a moral
world,
victory on that one.
So I'll let you guys. Yeah,
I'll
let you guys take that. Yeah.
in another world, I'm not just a PC gamer and actually have like a playable console, and maybe I would have like spiked Spider-Man up even more. So who knows?
You're right.
Well, you know,
right.
if PlayStation just released it on PC day and day, that'd be nice, you know. So
I mean, hey, we still like we already saw the mod. There was a mod that there was modders that already put Spider-Man 2 on PC and running at 60 FPS. So
listen,
just
man,
saying.
I'm trying to
Right
have a
there.
nice relationship with Sony. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay.
Wait, Riley, can we count that? Can we count that as a win? It's
No,
on PC.
that doesn't count. That doesn't count. No.
Yeah, if they sell the mod, then sure.
Okay, fair enough.
If they can sell it without being shut down. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
I'm just going to say it. If you want day and date PlayStation games, buy Helldivers 2 in February.
Yeah,
show
there
up
you
and
go.
show
There you
PlayStation
go.
you want day and date games, because otherwise it's not going to happen.
No, you're definitely right. You're definitely right. PC specs help for that.
I'd say
and,
say you're the biggest fan of Helldivers 2 I know, but I know you just fucking lie all the time, Steve. So
Listen, I'm going to be on
know.
that game
I
for a
don't know if
good
this is
month,
your pitch.
telling you that it's
No,
going
this is pitch.
Oh, by the way, we
my
should tell.
Party Animals contract ended, so I don't have to talk nice about the game.
By the way, but going back to
expired while
bets.
he was typing it, like, Oops, expiration date. Sorry.
By the way, going back to bets, we should probably let the audience know that we had like Riley and I, we did do our bet. We did buy drinks for the ongoing game for for Cyberpunk. So we have fulfilled the bet. The bet has been done. So for those listening who are wondering, we
got like a fun green tea shot or something.
It was a green tea shot.
It didn't taste like there was even a single drop of alcohol.
Dangerous.
Yeah, it was so dangerous.
It was great. It was the worst way.
I think it's worth mentioning. That we did start another bet. Camille's not here, so I'll take the reins on this one. That we were saying that myself and Camille. I don't know if anyone else was on board with this idea, but Death Stranding 2 2024 release date. Doing another drink bet.
Yeah, I was like, no way.
Yeah, I also say no way. So I'll be Team Riley for that one.
I think I had no
Camille,
stake in this one.
I don't have any stake in this one either.
Yeah. That's all you guys.
I got nothing.
All right.
Caboose, what's going on this week and your prediction for this year?
Prediction for this year. I mean, I'd hope that we can get a new look actually at the Wonder Woman game. That's my prediction for this year. I think brand new look, finally to unveil it, coming out hopefully next year. Okay. I'm crossing my fingers that we get another PlayStation showcase this year and we end up getting to see some more from Wolverine. And just who knows honestly. For me it's all superhero games all day, so anything of that sort I'm really looking forward to. But in terms of what's going on, not much. Just released obviously my hands-on impressions with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. The game is out officially for the deluxe edition owners on January 30th. So in pretty much 3 weeks, an almost 9-year wait for Rocksteady's next game comes to an end. And that's it. We're gonna see as well what's going on. I mean, we're waiting for a big update here for Spider-Man 2. A lot of people are hoping for New Game Plus to get added in here soon. They also have some new suits, I imagine, that are coming and some quality of life fixes. So I'm keeping an eye out for that and seeing if potentially we get some Spider-Man 2 DLC. That would be nice. And yes, exactly, Riley. Yeah. And that's about it. Keeping up as well with Mortal Kombat and seeing what the DLC characters coming up are going to look like, how they're going to play. We still got Peacemaker and Homelander that are going to be dropping.
February, or?
I think so. Yes. Okay. If I remember, because they did put out like a slate of when the characters are going to be dropping.
Yeah.
So yeah, looking out for Peacemaker, looking out for all the other MK characters that are dropping in there as well. And then, Ed Boon is teasing that they're going to be doing like another story DLC thing like they did with MK11. So I'm looking out for that too.
Sweet.
That would be very nice. That'd be very nice. But yeah, that's about it. I mean, it's going to be an interesting year. We'll see how things go, but definitely a bit of a slower start until Suicide Squad drops.
Yeah. Awesome. Sammy, how about you?
This week not doing too much, so I'm relaxing. And then my 2024 prediction. I think we're gonna get some more DLC from The Last of Us, whether it be Bill and Frank offshoot for like the first one, because I know they want to do the spin-off. They want to do a spin-off. Interesting. I think they handed in hey, this is what we want to do, studios, let's do it. So we don't know if it's confirmed or not, but I think some kind of DLC, probably for the second game.
Okay. All right.
Interesting.
Steve Saylor.
Oh, sorry. I got distracted.
The camera switched. So.
No. It's all good. Anyway. My Prince of Persia review is coming out this week. So expect that on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/@SteveSaylor. And then next week, before I go to MagFest, which is in Washington, D.C. It's a basically music and gaming festival. I'm actually going to be doing a panel there on Friday the 19th. Cool. But which I'm really excited about.
MagFest means. All right.
Damn.
I was like,
no idea.
Yeah.
I think it was
massive action online game.
Well, that they always have they always have like a theme every year of like a sort of based on on a video game. So this year's theme is Magfest Prime, based off of Metroid Prime. So that's this year's theme. But great. That's awesome. Who actually did that?
That was all right.
That was the best timing.
That was great. I love that. Anyway. So I've been going to that convention for since 2013. So this is the first time I've been back since 2019, since the pandemic. So I'm excited for it. But before that, on the 16th of my YouTube channel, I will have my review of the accessibility in The Last of Us 2 Remastered. So stay tuned to that. And as far as prediction for 2024, we're going to see a lot lot
I don't think you're going to be right on that.
No, you're.
I hope that no more games launch. That's it.
Okay, well, sorry. All right. Well, hey, you know what? It's a bold prediction. I know. I don't care. Cricket me off. That's fine. Whatever. I don't know. I think this year, probably prediction wise for 2024, I think this might be Xbox's year. Okay. I think that they've been setting up their dominoes for a while, and I know it's been said before. I think that each year that we're saying, oh, the domino's going to drop for Xbox. Now we're going to see all of their bets paying off. But I think this, with what we have yet to see from PlayStation, and I think that Xbox might take this year. If they can be able to, with the developer direct coming out next week and sort of setting the tone for what 2024 is, and seeing the games that we're going to potentially see in this developer direct, and hopefully, maybe actually have it a 2024 release. I think this is going to be a great year for Xbox, and that's my prediction.
All right, Steve V.
I've been quite busy this past week and a half doing a whole bunch of CES stuff. I put out a whole bunch of CES content. Just recently, today actually, I posted a video and an article that I had the Canadian exclusivity on the new Asus ZenBook Duo, the world's first 14-inch dual OLED laptop. It's pretty cool. It's got a secret OLED display underneath that's removable keyboard. It's pretty awesome. So I got to spend a week with that. It was a lot of fun. So check that out if you're curious. And then I've also got, my Prince of Persia review content coming out in the next week. Last of Us Part 2 remastered content coming out.
Yep.
And beyond that, I don't know. Just find me on all social media at Svigvari. But 2024 predictions. I think I'm going to bounce off Steve here, because I do think that this is going to be a strong Xbox year. But my specific prediction is that Avowed is going to be a sleeper hit this year. Much like I really do feel that Insomniac is the golden goose for PlayStation. I almost feel the same way for Obsidian for Xbox. They just don't seem to miss, in my opinion. I think that their vision and creativity in terms of game design and in terms of just seeing through a vision is excellent. And I think their take on a Skyrim kind of game is going to be really neat. And to see it set in the same universe as Pillars of Eternity, I think it is. Maybe the name's escaping me right now. But I do think that game has the potential to kind of just stand out and really capture an audience this year, alongside Hellblade. Obviously, I think that one's the premier game that everyone's kind of looking at. But I think Avowed, I think Avowed is the one that a lot of people will be like, wait a minute, I got to subscribe to Game Pass. I got to jump into this game. I'm down for this kind of offshoot role playing game.
All right, Riley, how about you?
Well, what I have going on is pretty much what Steve has going on, which is Prince of Persia and Last of Us, which is great. My prediction, though, I feel like it's going to be. I'm going to say, I don't want to go with something safe, like saying, "Oh, the Switch 2" or something like that. But I feel like we'll probably see some major shit. You know what? I'm going to go with something that I said earlier. I'm going to say that Halo multiplayer across platform. I'm going to say it's going to happen this year.
Man, I hope so.
Damn. All
that's
right.
the one.
Wow.
That's
Okay.
the one.
Awesome. Besides that,
Purely a guy.
for me, I'm just fighting off a cold. Hopefully that's gone this week. Prince of Persia is another one. I had Pacific Drive preview that came out today, and my prediction is I am going to go to Nintendo route, and I'm going to see the Switch is coming out in September. I'll even give you the month September.
Oh, okay.
If you want to,
I think that's a safe prediction.
September, October seems like the right time for it.
If you want to make it crazy, I'll say the 20. Wait, let me see what day it is. The 21st. I was gonna say, but you know what? Screw it. The 21st of September.
Okay.
Wow, you're going that. Okay.
Reveal it. When do they reveal it?
After Luigi Mansion, just in the summer.
Wow. I don't know.
Yeah. August.
I think this might be a summer Game Fest E3 time type announcement, because it's like, because they did what they announced the Switch in the fall of 2016 and released it was it March or April of 2017. So it was like within a few months of it from announcement to release. So if your prediction is right about being in September, I would say May, June would be a good time to announce it for sure.
Just saying, it's coming.
So I'll throw it out. I think you're spot on with the release window. I think September, early October, that seems right. Yeah. But I have to imagine that they want to reveal this thing before their fiscal year ends, which is March.
Yeah, March.
So
I agree with Steve, and the only reason too, I think, is that the more partners are going to get their hands on this thing, and it's going to leak.
Yeah,
if they don't get ahead of that
imminently. Yeah.
When does the new office open again? What month?
Oh, I don't know.
What was that again? Sorry.
Coincide with that when the new Nintendo office opens or building, whatever you want to call it.
I don't think it's museum or whatever.
Soon.
Is that the one that you're talking about, like the museum?
Yeah, the museum.
I don't think it's soon enough that they can.
I think it's early.
Is it?
I think it's early. I remember hearing something like that.
I think like late Q1, early Q2. So I think maybe that it would coincide with that.
And you know what, Riley, for you, Party Animals is coming to Switch.
Well, that'd be cool.
What do you know?
I'll talk to
Tell me more.
They apparently there's a date for the opening of the Nintendo Museum in Kyoto, March 2024.
Oh.
That feels convenient.
That's a little. That's a little interesting. There, March, huh? All right. We'll see. Next week we'll cover the Xbox event. So the episode will be coming a little bit later. So we'll around Friday actually. So, but that's pretty much it. And thank you so much. Happy New Year to everyone, and I will see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.